I think we might be able to finish up our June Cuties today. Should we give it a try? Hey everyone, Cristin here, and our June Cuties is so darn cute. The ice cream scoops are just adorable, and they were quick and easy too. So I'm thinking that we might be able to finish the whole project today. We still have outer borders and the corner blocks and the backing, which we will stitch in the ditch, and then the binding, and then we're done. So I'm thinking we might be able to get it all done, but we'll go over all of it now. Do it in your own timeline, whatever works for you, but we're really close. So just a reminder, I am going to be on vacation the last few days of May and the first day of June, so I won't be available for questions, but the group is super helpful, the Cristin Creates group on Facebook. If you have any questions, I'm sure somebody will jump in and help, but we're really close to the end. So this one is actually going to be pretty easy because, well, let's go over what we need for today. That will help, huh? So we're going to start with the corner blocks. So the corner blocks are on page 41 of our booklet, and we are going to do the bitty block in a scoop design, a 2x2 scoop design. So let me go to page 41 here. So for the corner blocks, I mentioned in the prep video that I recommend cutting the fabrics to 3x3 if you're able, instead of 2.5 by 2.5, which is what is in the book. Either way will work fine, but if you're able to do it a little bit bigger, it will make it so that we can tack it down, and then we'll use that as our cut line. As long as it's stabilized, I do stabilize mine, but you want to make sure to measure it. If you're going to use that cut line, you want to make sure and measure that it has not changed size. So we're going to have 4 pieces of fabric for our corner blocks, and it is the pink star fabric, and 4 of them. And like I said, I recommend 3x3, 2.5 by 2.5 will work though if you didn't catch that on the prep video. All right, and then for our batting, same thing, 3x3, 4 pieces, 3x3 for our batting, for our 4 corner blocks. All right, and we are going to use, for our quilting, it will be the 2x2 bitty block in scoop. It's called scoop. And so one thing is, I am going to, instead of bringing you over to Embrilliance to show you how to join them together, I'm going to grab from January. It's the same process. For January, we had ski poles. So it will be a different bitty block, but the process is exactly the same. So just grab your scoop design when you do that. And the reason I'm going to do that is because the inner borders, we're going to use the same quilting design that we did in January. So nice and easy for me. I get to just copy and paste from the previous tutorial. So that's our corner blocks. We'll start with that. Hey everyone, so I'm at my computer and I'm going to show you how to merge together the corner blocks and then the outer borders. I'm using Embrilliance Essentials, and I think that we could probably use you could probably use a 5x7 hoop. I think that would be too tight for me. Maybe. Actually, I think it'd be okay. Let's go ahead and try. Let's see. So if we go here to this preferences folder, we can change our hoop size. You can always see what size hoop you have down here at the bottom. But I'm going to, let's just try out a 5x7 and see what fits. All right, so you can see that we have our hoop here. I'm going to go to this compass and click H. It'll zoom into the whole hoop. All right, and then we're going to go to merge stitch file. So the design for the quilting on the corners is just those little bitty blocks. So right here, the bitty blocks folder, we are using the block by block technique, and we're looking for this skis right down there. So double click on that. And it is, let's see what size, it's 2.5 by 2.5 for the quilting. So, and our fabric is, all right, our fabric is 2.5 by 2.5. So we actually have plenty of room. There shouldn't be any overlap. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring the first one over far to the corner here. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and change these up so that they will join. So those of you that are new to Embrilliance, just follow step by step. I've had a couple of people ask me how to do it, and literally I go through each little step, and you don't have to worry about having any past experience or anything because I go over all of it. So let's just do this one real quick. So here we have our quilting design. You can see it over here, and then you can see that there's default blues and default oranges. If we don't change those colors, they will join together, and then it will defeat the purpose of having a placement for our batting and a placement for our main fabric. So we want to make sure to change those so that they don't join together. So we really only have to change the two that are the same. So we don't have to go and change all 5 pieces. We could just change 2. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to click on this 1-3. You can see that this is number 1 design has 5 steps in it, and the third step, 1-3 here, if I click on the color and I can change it to whatever color works, I'm going to change it to the first color that comes up for me, which is dark aqua. And then for 1-4, same thing. We have that default 2 orange in 2 places. We don't want them to be the same. We want them different so that we can join them how we want them to, instead of the software joining it how they want to join it. So on 1-4, I'm going to click on that and then click on the color, and I'm going to change it to the first color that comes up, which is Blaze, and I'll say OK. That's really the only changes that we need to make, is that 1-3 and 1-4, or you could do 1-1 and 1-2, it doesn't matter, but the 2 that were the same, we want to make sure to change those. So now that we have all of the colors changed to what we want, we can go ahead and click on the design. You can do it there or you can do it over here, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to say Control C on my keyboard to copy, and then Control V to paste. And you can see that now instead of 1 design, we have 2 designs, and it goes right on top of it. So you want to click anywhere on the stitching to be able to move it over to the side. And when you move it over, you want to make sure that it's not going over the hoop at all. All right, we want to make sure that it is lined up in a way that it's not going to upset your machine. All right, that one's actually pretty close to the line. I'm tempted to use my 6x6 hoop. I think I will. This is very, very close. Since the fabric is 2.5 and the design is 2.5, you're not going to have much overlap, but it's pretty close. So I'm going to go ahead and change to a 6x6 hoop just to give me a little bit of room. It definitely can be done in a 5x5. Or an 8x8 or whatever you feel comfortable with. I do have a 6x6 hoop. I also have an 8x8. Let's see if yep, there's my 6x6. All right. So now see how it went over the lines. This is where it would cause a problem and say, oh, you're over the hoop, I can't help you here. So you want to make sure that you're to pull your design within the hoop size. That yellow part is showing you your hoop. All right, so there's 2 of them done already. So if I hit Control V again to paste another one, there it is right there, and I can bring that one down to the bottom. And then one more Control V to have 4 designs. We have all 4 pieces now. If I close these up, you can see. All right, so see there's 4 different designs. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, and they're already all colored so that we can do a color sort. All right, so let's go ahead and go to Utility Color Sort. Let me first look at what we have. 20 color steps. You can see it right down here at the bottom. It says 5 of 20. So I'm going to go to Utility Color Sort, and it says it's reduced it by 15 color changes. And don't forget about these position and tolerance. We want the same settings so that you're getting the same information that I'm getting. And then click New View. You can see we're on Untitled 1 now. It will create a new tab, New View. See, now we've got 2 tabs. The first one has 4 designs. You can see that. And then the second tab, they're all joined together in 1 design. So if I open that up to just check and see what it did, make sure it's all correct, there's our placement for our batting and our tack down for our batting, and then our placement for our main fabric, which is those little corner fabrics, and then the tack down for that, or the basting stitch. And then we have the quilting for all 4. So that was super easy. Like I said, I changed to my 6x6 hoop just to give me a little bit of room. It can definitely be done in a 5x5 or a 5x7, whatever works for you. My machine is not on, so I'm going to do a file, save stitch file as, and we are in the Diamonds and Sunburst. So I'm going to move it to the bitty blocks. Let's see. All right, there's the bitty blocks, block by block, and I'm just going to name it Skis Quad because there's 4 of them. All right, and say save. And then I could send it to my machine if my machine was on, but it's not on. And then we will do the outer borders. So for the outer borders, grab your packet. It is page 41, and we are going to have this pink plaid fabric. Isn't this pretty? Oh my gosh, I love that. Pink and green plaid fabric. All right, and then this one, same as before, I recommended cutting it just a little bit bigger. So in the book, let's see, for the outer borders, in the book it has 2.5 by 18, 2.5 by 18, 4 pieces. So I cut mine to 2.5 by 20. So if you can cut it a little bit longer and then just cut it down at assembly, I find that that makes it a lot better as far as giving yourself some wiggle room, room for error, just in case. So 2.5 by 20 is my recommendation. 2.5 by 18 will work. Just make sure you stabilize it in case it pulls in. Just you want to make sure it's long enough. All right, so I did stabilize mine with the fusible backing by Kimberbell. 4 pieces, 2.5 by 20 is my recommendation for the outer borders. And then for our batting, just like we did for the inner borders, we're going to attach our batting directly onto the borders, and we'll skip those first 2 steps of the quilting design, the placement and tack down of the batting, because it will already be attached to our border fabric. So on this, you want to make sure to have your batting the exact size needed. So that is outer border, 4 pieces at 2 by 17.5. 2 by 17.5. And like I said, you want this exact. You don't want it longer like we do for the fabric. We want our batting to be exact. So 2 by 17.5, 4 pieces. And that's for our outer borders. All right, so we will do those corner blocks and the outer borders, and just like I've shown in last month and other months, I'll show you how to get those just right to add on that corner block. It makes it really easy to line it up just right. I came up with a good solution on that. And I'm going to work on the outer borders. So for the outer borders, I'm going to do 4 of the 10-inch size. I'm going to show you real quick. So I'm going to change my hoop size. Right now I'm on my 6 by 6. I'm going to go to this preferences folder, and I'm going to change to my 10 by 10 hoop and see how that works out and say okay. All right, so now you can't see your hoop. If you were to zoom out, you could see it, but it just zoomed in so much that you couldn't see it. I'm using the little scroll button on my mouse when I'm doing that, scrolling in and out to make it larger or smaller. I think that was a thing in preferences of how you want to be able to zoom. So the other option, of course, is to go up here to this H button, and it will zoom into your entire hoop. All right, so I'm on my 10 by 10. It's actually more than 10.5 by 10.5, so that should work out just fine. So let's go ahead and start bringing in those outer borders. So if I go to merge stitch file, this button up here, and then I'm going to look for the, what is it, diamonds and sunbursts right there, diamond and sunburst. Click on that and it'll populate with all the designs that are in that folder. And then I'm going to quickly show you all the different sizes. So the 1x10, not 1, sorry, 2 inch, we're on the 2 inch now because we're doing the outer borders. So here's the 2x10. If I double click on that, I can see that it is 2.5 inches by 9 7/16. So we want 18 inches of quilting. Really, let's see, 18 inches of quilting is what we need. So doing 2 hoopings of this would work out great. It actually would work out almost perfectly. There'd be a little bit of overage, and we'll just let that run off on the edge because we've got our batting exactly the right size. So that one is great. I'm going to go ahead and move this over here. And then I'm just going to show you the other size options for those that have different hoop sizes or want to do it a different way. So where was it? So border, diamonds, and sunbursts. And that was the 2x10. Here's the 2x12. And you can see it's bigger than my hoop. That's why it turned red. So on this one, the size is 2.5 by 11 inches. So if you did 2 of those, you'd get 22 inches, and that would work fine too. We don't need quite that much, but you could certainly do that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and delete that. I just wanted to show you it is 2.5 by 11 inches for the 12-inch size. All right, so merge stitch file, and I'm going to bring in one more, or actually 2 more, just to show you the sizes. All right, here's the 2x14, and again, it's too big for my 10-inch hoop. It is, let's see, just that design. You got to click on the design. You want to see the size. It's 2.5 by 12 5/8 for the 14-inch. 2.5 by 12 5/8. All right, and again, that's bigger than we need it to be, but it certainly would work if you want to do that. You could do that, and then smaller on the others, whatever works. All right, and then one more I'm going to show you for those that have a 5x7 hoop. Here's the 2x7, and that one, click on the design, it is 2.5 inches by 6 5/16. So less than 6.5, 2.5 by less than 6.5, and that would work. You would have to do 3 hoopings to get 18 inches. You'd get a little more than 18, and that would work fine because of how we're going to do the batting. All right, so done with that. Click on that, delete. So I'm going to work on this one, the 2x10. I think that one will work the best for me. And I'm using the 10-inch size, which is actually 9 7/16, so a little less than 9.5 inches. Now, as you can see, we've got the blue and orange and the blue and light orange because this is a border design. So if you are going to do the batting the way I'm going to do it, where I attach the batting onto the fabric strip, you can go ahead and click on this first one and the second one and delete. This is the placement of the batting and the tack down of the batting, and if you're attaching your batting to your fabric like I'm going to show you, then you don't need those steps. I'm going to keep them in just to remind people on the tutorial to bypass them. But you could delete those and then you don't need to change any colors. That would work super fine. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and change the first one because those of you that hit delete on 1 and 2, you won't need to change any color. So I'm just going to change the first one, and I'm going to choose the first color that comes up, which is dark aqua. All right, and then I have all 5 steps, and none of them are the same now. You can see I have dark aqua, default orange, default blue, default light orange, and default turquoise. So that works fine. All right, so I can go ahead and copy and paste this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control-C on my keyboard now that I've already changed the colors to what I needed, and then Control-V to paste. And you can see it created a second one. Now I'm going to go ahead and just take it and move it out of the way. All right, so that since it's copy and paste, the colors are already the same as what we need them to be because we want to make sure that they're going to be the same. So notice I talked about this in all of the videos, but I do get questions now and then. So see 1-1 here, this dark aqua is the same as 2-1, so those will join. and then 1, 2 and 2, 2 are both default to orange, so those will join. We want them to be the same color in the different designs. So design 1 and design 2 all have the same colors within that number. So 2, 3 is the same as 1, 3, the same color, so that those will join. I hope that that makes sense. I'm not sure how else to say it, but if you follow step by step, when I go through here and I say, I'm going to change this one to this color, you do that same. It doesn't matter what color, but it does matter that 1, 2 and 2, 2 are the same. So if you just follow those steps, you will have the same results. All right, so we have the first 2 designs done. We need 4 of them. So I'm going to say Control V again, and it goes over that first one again. And I'm just going to bring it over. And then one more, Control V, to paste a 4th one. And I'm going to bring this one over to the very edge so that I can utilize all of my hoop. All right, now you can see that they are all wonky because I haven't lined them up yet. I did that on purpose to be able to show you that align and distribute again like we did on the inner borders. All right, so we have all 4 designs. I'm going to close this just so you can see them all. All right, we have 4 designs here, and while they are not color sorted is when you want to do that utility align and distribute. So right here, align and distribute under utility. All right, and then I do this left center button only, and that seems to do what I need it to do. I'll say okay. I didn't highlight them. I always forget that. Oh my goodness, sorry. So you have to have the designs all highlighted so it knows what designs you want to align. Sorry about that. So I have all 4. All I did was click out, up, down from the bottom and drag up, and then utility, align and distribute, and again that left center button. And you can see that they all centered up so that they are all the same height. That works perfectly. And then I want to go to this distribute tab just to make sure I've got the same amount of room between each of them. You can see these are overlapping and there's room between these 2. So I'm going to click the distribute part of that tab, and I've got it on center, and I'll say, and I also have extent of selection selected, and click apply, and you'll see they move just a bit so that now there's the same amount of space between each of these. It's funny, it's not really. This has a little bit more, a little less space than these. Interesting. But they're all, so there's 2 on the left side of the hoop and there's 2 on the right side of the hoop. So anyway, it works great. We're going to have our fabric be within these lines, these blue lines, so it's not going to matter at all to be able to, we're not going to have overlap of our fabric anyway. So we want to, when we place these fabrics, it's really important that you place them within that placement stitch, the placement box. It's very important to get those lined up. You can, when you stitch out the placement lines on our stabilizer, those are there for us to line up those fabric strips. I saw someone was saying in the group the other day that their strips were all off, and my guess is that they weren't lined up in the placement box, but I'm not absolutely sure what happened. But either way, that's the point of the placement box, is you want to have those strips exactly lined up all the way down. You've got to look at those strips and tape it in place, and I show all that in the tutorials as well. So we've got this one all done. Actually, we haven't color sorted yet. We did the align and distribute, so I'm going to go to utility color sort, because right now we have 20 color steps. You can see it right down here, 20 color steps. So let's go ahead and do a utility color sort. And it says it's reduced it by 15 color changes. So I'm going to click New View. Here's the older one with all 4 designs, and here's the new tab with everything in one step now, or one design. So this first one is the placement for the batting. That's all perfect. They're all joined. And then the tack down of the batting. And again, you don't need those. You can delete 1 and 2 if you add your batting onto your fabric strip. I'm leaving it in just for the tutorial. And then 1, 3, we have the placement of our main fabric, which is the strips, and then 1, 4 is the tack down. You can see it's different because it only does the sides on the borders. And then we have the quilting for all of them. Isn't that so pretty? I love that one. That's so pretty. It's funny because we're really not going to see it because the fabric is so busy, but it's a really pretty quilting design that we got in our quilting bundle for the Cuties. All right, so that's all done. It's all perfect. I'm going to go ahead and save it. File, save, stitch file as. And I'm in the bitty blocks. I don't want to be in the bitty blocks. I'm going to go back to the files. Yep, there we go. All right, so I'm going to say this is the Sunburst. Yeah, Sunburst quad, because there's 4 of them. And that will work fine. I'm going to say in my 10 by 10 hoop so that I remember what hoop size to use and say save. All right, I don't have my machine on, so I am going to transfer it over when I have my machine on. So that was super easy, very, very fun and quick and easy to do. So let's go ahead and get stitching our border.